to another episode of the Renaissance Room podcast. So in today's episode, I just kind of want to touch on this because, being a Christian and all and like loving God, praising the Lord, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely not the type of person who's like super passive. Y'all hear me talk about my faith. Moving forward, I kind of want to touch on this topic of racism in Christianity. I feel as though it really says a lot about a lot of white churches and white congregations that don't address racism. I think that says a lot. And, my thing is this: God is a spirit. God lives within all of us. And, we see the fruit of his spirit: love, joy, kindness, all of those things, right? We know from a historical standpoint, there were some lies told about what God actually looks like and how God was created in man's image and how that image has kind of been tainted and how a lot of people don't gravitate towards Christ. So I think that it kind of says a lot about a lot of white Christians who don't like black people and who don't really, jive with them. They don't really feel, like they see a black girl coming or a black guy coming who looks a certain type of way. They're not very welcoming and they're not very, pastoral in that sense. And I think that says a lot, So I was thinking to myself, like, how have I overcome racism? Being a Christian, and how has God transformed my heart and things like that. And I would say this to a lot of people because, when we have these conversations and as black people, when we stand strong in who we are and we talk about African-American history and really just who we are, right? It's funny that I keep saying African-American history. I have to address myself and correct myself a lot of times because I'm like, this is real, right? Like, this is our reality. This was happening today. And it's not really history. Like, we're black people and we're on this earth. Like, This is what's going on today. And so for me, first of all, it's understanding that black people were never taught to hate white people. We were never taught to look at them funny. We were never taught to disrespect them. We were never taught to, really pretty much treat them badly. We were never taught that. And so you have a lot of projections coming from white Christians in the white community in itself when it comes to black people who are just being black, minding their business and just being black. I feel like a lot of times, people feel as though when black people are in certain spaces, oh, that's not Christ-like, or, whatever the case may be, that may be centering that. And it's this isn't really not being a peacemaker. This is more so just this is who I am. And, for me to kind of answer that question, it's more so I never hated white people. I don't think black people hate white people. I think that the things that white people do is pretty jacked up. And I think, white people wanting to be in black spaces at the expense of black people is a problem, So no, you're probably not going to be invited to certain things. And that's okay. You guys have to understand that white people have way more power in society. Period. And that's not to really say there needs to be this divide. I think any black person who's listening to me and who's enlightened and tapped in, y'all know we just don't have that. And I think a lot of white people don't understand that. We were never taught to hate y'all. Y'all have to realize that as white people, you guys were literally taught to hate black people. That was never, and we black people oftentimes, even if we have church and religion and things like that being at such a strong foundational and ancestral root type thing in our communities generationally. But even still in that, we were taught to love everybody. So you got to realize that that's a you type of problem. And that's something that you guys have to work on in your community and your culture if you want to have integration and you want to have this sense of allegiance and you want to be in these black spaces. You have to realize that was never anything that we were taught. So a black person can never be racist. Racism is when you have the power to make changes and pretty much disintegrate and control someone's community. Black people have never had that power. We do not have that economic power. We don't even have that type of we don't even have them type of resources. So black people can't be racist. And when it comes to God and things like that, and giving my life to Christ and all of the things, I don't feel like that has made me this type of malleable type of person. I feel like I still am who I am and I am who God called me to be, but I definitely think that it's important for white people and everybody who, is black and in this space and constantly having to defend certain things and try to toast that white fragility. We were never taught to hate white people. So we don't even have that foundation. So this isn't really a conversation that honestly needs to be had. That's not our custom, but it is problematic when Christians, want to be, professing God's truth and y'all not walking in truth. That's a false prophet. You don't love everybody. You don't, you know what I mean? That's not real, So for me, if you down and you cool and, like I said, you're not, expecting me to be something different for you and your comfortability, then we can rock. But if not, then this isn't the space for you, because like I said, we don't coddle and we don't toe step the white fragility. We don't really, that's not what we do. We're not called to do that. The times is long gone. White people have been comforted in these systems for way too long. Y'all are, even still to this day, y'all out here doing racist things, right? Taking your economic power to ban African American studies. Y'all doing it. It's repetitious. So, I don't want to hear about that. And black people were never taught to hate white people. So that's not even in our spirits a lot of times. That's not even in, you know what I mean? So that's what I think. Hope you guys found this podcast insightful. I hope you felt seen, heard, understood, appreciated, and understand that, like, you being you is not the absence of, love for somebody else. You being you is just you being you, doing you, period. You know what I mean? And so we have to understand, I tell you guys about this, that sense of entitlement that white people have. When you are built, when your culture, historically is built on taking, whatever you feel like you deserve, whatever you feel like you're entitled to have, then that's kind of what it becomes. And y'all have to be mindful of that mindset when you're dealing with black people today. Black people don't have to, like, the only thing that black people have is their culture. And even still, that is sometimes being stripped away. Like, we don't have the things that, other people have. We don't have the community a lot of times. We don't have anything. The only thing we have is our culture. So, you can't be mad when black people don't want you to be a part of that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we hate y'all. That's all we got left. That's just like, deprivation, in our communities. So, like, what can you really say? But I definitely feel like for me as a Christian, I'm cool with everybody. I think hate is a very strong word. But again, like I said, for me, these days, I really just focus on my people. I focus on my community, the people who need my help. That doesn't, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is the problem. Like, oftentimes that's seen as the absence of X, Y, and Z. And I think that that's so heavily rooted in that spirit of entitlement, which is rooted in racism, which is rooted in colonization, which is rooted in entitlement. So there's today's podcast. I know this was like, kind of said a lot, but I know if you're still here and you're still listening, you're absolutely being educated, about these matters, and you 100% feel seen, you feel heard, you feel encouraged, you feel empowered. And that's what I'm here to do, baby. Period. Love you guys. Peace. And before this podcast starts, might I add that when it comes to black issues and, injustice and all the things that we are fighting for, equality in a sense, I don't ever really see any other races advocating for us. I don't ever really see any other races, standing up. I don't see Indians. I don't see, any other race standing up for black people. And I think that really says a lot. That says a lot about the institution, but it also says a lot about the people who live within those institutions and who have been institutionalized as well to hate black people. That says a lot, and that's pretty heartbreaking. So don't come to me with the whole, because I know God. Okay, period. I know God is real. You know what I mean? I know God. I don't play with it. So enjoy this podcast episode. I just had to address that really quick before coming on, because that's something that I notice a lot of times. I don't see Asian communities rising in regards to black lives. And, it's not even really the Black Lives Matter, because we know that was kind of a bit of a hoax, right? But it's more so just in regards to social injustice. I definitely don't see white people with all, with all the cultural appropriation that's going on today on TikTok and all the, dudes y'all didn't got with, and you know what I mean? I don't see y'all standing for us. I don't see Chinese, like, I don't, Korean communities, I don't see anybody standing for black people. And that's why for me it's so important for us to have a haven and for us to really tap in with each other, because a lot of people appreciate our culture, y'all appreciate what we can do, but when it comes to who we are at our essence and who we are, in those spaces, a lot of people, let's just be real, y'all don't like black people. You've been indoctrinated to hate us. You've been indoctrinated. You know what? I'm going to stop there. But that's real. You've been indoctrinated and your stereotypes are real, and it's raging in how you show up, even in Christianity. So let's go ahead and get into this podcast episode. I hope you guys enjoy it.